Um, okay, so we are live. So officially, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for honoring this invitation and being here to share your experiences. So I'll just go through everyone. We'll go with Mo, Marina, Sherifat, and then Dr. Yewande. Just introduce yourself. Tell us where you're residing in Canada and what you do, and how many kids you have, because we're looking at this session as moms, busy moms. So yeah, over to you.
Thanks for having me here. My name is Moyo, and people call me Mo. I'm a mom of 3 beautiful princesses. I stay in London, Ontario. I'm a lawyer, content creator, producer, movie writer. What else? A bunch of things. And I'm a wife and a mom too.
Okay, Marina, you want to go next?
Sure, I can. Hello, everybody. My name is Marina Esiri, but people call me Marina Esiri because I'm a noisemaker on YouTube. So most times I hear people say, my regards to Mr. Esiri. So no, he's Mr. Eteng. Esiri is my middle name. So Marina Esiri is my first name and my middle name. My official last name is Yewande Eteng. I'm a mom. I'm a wife first, mom to 2 kids. My son is 8 and my daughter is almost 7. I'm a HR professional. I am currently working in HR. I am currently a student. I'm taking courses towards my chartered professional in human resources designation. I live in Saskatchewan, Saskatchewan. I am what else? I'm a content creator. I'm on YouTube. Yeah. So
many hats.
Yeah.
Okay, Sherifat, let's go with you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Sherifat Onobanjo. I'm a mom of 3 kids. My kids are 10, 6, and 2. I have a degree in computer science. I'm an IT service desk analyst. I also write as my pastime. I love to share my experiences. I run the platform Live in Nova Scotia. I live in Nova Scotia, so I just share my experiences about life in Nova Scotia. I've been living here for 4 years and 7 months.
Okay, I think it's frozen. Okay.
Can you hear me though?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think you're back.
It was a bit reason for my end.
Okay. Okay, maybe we should go with you. When she comes, we'll continue with her.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for having me on, Mrs. O. My name is Yewande Olamide. Very similar to Marina, I also go by my middle name, Dr. Yewande Olamide. I'm a medical doctor first. I practice in the emergency room. I do some intensive care, or used to do some intensive care, but now my practice is mostly telemedicine, so I see patients virtually. But my passion is actually personal finance. So I'm also a personal finance strategist. And what that means is I simplify the language of money, specifically for women, so that they can have a stress-free relationship with their money. I'm the founder and CEO of Her Wealth Grows, which is my consulting company. I love to educate, I love to teach, I love to share whatever knowledge will help women have a stronger, a more beautiful relationship with their money so that they can leave a legacy for their children. And yeah, I'm the mother of 2 children. I have a 3-year-old, and an 18-month-old or 19-month-old, almost 20-month-old. They keep me on my toes. I love them dearly. They're my heart, and they're the reason why I'm passionate about my finances and other women's finances, because I want to leave something for them, when I'm eventually gone. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, so everyone watching, I'm sure you guys are seeing all the bios, and these are very busy women. So I was very intentional when I was selecting the people that were going to be on this show, because I wanted people that are really busy, so they can give us a breakdown of how they do it. So let's just go to the next point, how we are raising kids in Canada, and compared to where we are coming from, like most of us came from our original home country. I know some of us are Canadians already, but I mean, we raised the kids there before moving here. Some of us maybe have their kids here. I don't know, but let's know what do you think is the difference? You know, in Canada, raising kids, there are a lot of regulations, policies, things you would naturally do in your home country. You wouldn't be able to do them here. Things that would easily help you cope. You won't be able to do them here. So I just want, anyone that wants to go first, share your experience. Mo, we can start with you.
Okay, so yeah, you're very right. For me, it's a 360-degree difference from training my kids back home to training them here. I admit I was so spoiled in Nigeria. I was super spoiled. I had the driver, I had the I had the maid, I had the nanny. My mom stayed barely 5 minutes walk away. My mother-in-law stayed barely 20 minutes away. Like, I was so spoiled, really. I can't say that I've had the true experience of being an individual mom until I came here, because when I came here, I was like, is this a joke? Am I going to have to do everything myself? I understood the true meaning of do it yourself. And I won't lie about it. I cried. There was a day I sat down on the staircase and I wept like a baby. Like, I literally cried. After crying, I was like, what's going on? But I realized that it was a lot of pressure on myself, my spouse, my husband, and even the children themselves. That was when one of my daughters came and said, Mom, I miss Auntie Gift. I just realized I really love her. And I was like, you love her? She was your nanny and you gave her a hard time. Like, you gave her such a hard time in Nigeria. Come here, come and do this. You never listen. But it got to a point that they themselves sat down and started thinking that, man, these people were so helpful. You don't even realize how much help they were until you have to do everything yourself. Yeah. So it's a 360-degree change. I'm adapting. I am still adapting because I'm still learning. I try to give them chores. I try to let them do things themselves too, even if it's going to be a mess, so that they to start growing this independence from now. So my daughter and I were having the discussion this morning, and she was like, "Are we going to use this dishwasher?" that dishwasher discussion. Yes. So I told her that yes, we're going to use it, and but I want you to know how to use your hand first. I need you to know how to use your hands. When I feel like you're good with using your hands, then I'm going to use the dishwasher. I'm not like that old school, but I just told that I need you to know how to do things yourself too. In Nigeria, there was no dishwasher. So I want you to know how to do that too. I want you to take the best of both worlds. I'm sifting the negative, but taking the positive things from both worlds. I'm trying to, create this cocktail of my own. And I'm very open to learning from everybody else too, because it's no one size fits all.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So I got confused as it just switched, and okay, let's go with you, Marina. What do you think? What's the difference for you? What's the challenge? The switch. How has it affected you raising the kids?
Okay. So my children were 3 and 2 when we moved here. It was a bit of a shocker, like Moyo said. In Nigeria, I had a maid, I had my sister living with me, I had a nanny, I had, like, somebody did the laundry, I barely did any chores, I barely did any physical work, right? And because they were very young, I was not doing any very active parenting. At that point, it was just give them food, change diaper, and things like that. But when we moved here, for like the first couple of weeks, I'll be dreaming and I'll be hugging my nanny in my dream. So it was almost like, wait, what? is this what people have been saving me? That was what my first shocker was. And for the first couple of months while we're here, I didn't have a job. So it wasn't so much of a big deal adjusting while I was at home, right?
Mhm.
And then a couple of months later, I had to go back to school and I was in school full time. So I'll go to catch the bus at 7:40 and I'm back at like 4:15, 4:20. That's like a full day of work, except that I was in class. That's when it started to hit me like, I don't understand this type of life. Like, I questioned all my life choices at that point. Like, who even sent me? First of all, the weather in the prairies to first humble you. So putting all of that together, and the shocker was rude. It was very rude. Like, nothing prepares you for that. But what I would say is there are advantages and disadvantages of both sides. That's what I've come to realize. Even while I was in Nigeria, I already knew that there were some components of the traditional Nigerian parenting that I wasn't going to adopt. There were a lot of things I knew. It would have been a struggle for me to do that in Nigeria because it's hard when you speak a language inside your house, but when the child goes out of the house, almost everything they hear is the exact opposite of what you're saying. That would have been a major struggle. But I knew that I was going to stand my ground. I was not going to let some things continue with my children. Some of the things I see, some of the ways I was raised, I knew that I wanted to interrupt that pattern with my children. So that's the advantage I would say I have here. I have more control over some of those things that I wanted to enforce in Nigeria. That would have been a problem for me because of the culture, the community, and how we generally do things, right? So that part is an advantage. Like I knew I wanted to raise confident children. I wanted to raise children who will be able to call me out. I want to raise children who will be able to say, Mom, I think you're wrong. And I'll stop and say, you know what, you're right. I'm sorry. That's not conventional. I didn't grow up like that. I wanted to be able to build a relationship with my children where they are not afraid. I didn't want any barriers, what I experienced as a kid. So that is an advantage here because I have I have a lot of control over, over what they hear, what I expose them to, and things like that. But the disadvantage is the community aspect. Now, while the community thing could have been a disadvantage, it also had major advantages. Like in Abuja, where I live before I moved here, I could just get back from work, pick my children, drop them. I'll stay inside the car, watch them walk into the house, and I'm sure somebody has opened the door, off I go.
Yeah.
You know? But now you can't even dare. Like when you think about, okay, I can be very paranoid, like get a total stranger to come into my house to come and stay with my children because I want to go out and have fun. No, it's not that deep. The food can wait. We'll order it, eat it, put it on the ground and create our own. So I still have that fear of, am I now going to let a total stranger come into my house? But technically, that's what we did in Nigeria. Total strangers lived with us, right? Some of them, we cannot trace them to their villages, but here it's different. Like you can do checks and so I would say the advantages and the disadvantages are starting to balance themselves out. My son is 8 now. He was 5 when we moved here. There's some level of independence that's growing. So it doesn't depend on me 100% like he did when he was 3. Now he can wake up on Saturday morning, not bother me, go and fix himself breakfast. Father Lord, I'm grateful for that part. They're growing now, so the dependence is changing, but with every phase comes new responsibilities. They have gone away from physical dependence. Now there's a lot of emotional, there's a lot of mental work that has happened. So I would say the advantages and the disadvantages are beginning to balance themselves out, and I'm finding a way that works.
Okay, let's go with you, Sharifat. I know you didn't finish your introduction, so I don't know if you want to continue from there or you just want to keep straight up to.
Yeah, sorry about, I don't know what happened to my internet. It just keeps freezing. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Sharifat Onobanjo. I have a BS in computer science. I write also as a pastime. I love to share my experiences. I live in Nova Scotia, so I have a platform called Live in Nova Scotia, where I share my experiences about the province. I'm a mom of 3 children. I have a boy and 2 girls. They are 10, 6, and 2. So that's about my introduction. So about the question about how, parenting here and in Nigeria, if it's easy or challenging. For me, it's a blend of both. Some areas are easy. Some are like Moyo and Marina said, that it was like a shocker for me as well. Like back home, we had, access to help. affordable help. We had our moms, our siblings, our relatives, and just people that could help you out with some things in the house, right? Unlike here, where you, even though you have some level of support, but it's not as much as we have back home. So for me, that's the area where I find it hard. But over time, when they say that when you only choice you have is to be strong, you have, right? So it has taught me how strong we are, and even how independent our kids could be. We assume that our children are young, so they don't know. Like Marina said, this morning my son is 10. He fixed breakfast for himself and his younger sister. That's, even though it took him like few minutes, that took out that part in my work. There was like some level of assistance. My husband also did some chores in the house. Back home, even though I have a supportive husband, because the system back home makes you consciously assume that some things are meant for the woman to be done. But when you move here, that's why some couples struggle with that, because they think that man, I shouldn't be doing this. But if you have a spouse with understanding, you're able to balance it out. Even makes you more create some level of bond between you and your spouse, even your children. Like back home, I didn't used to make my kids hair. Like they'll go to maybe the salon, or somebody will help them make. But I make my girls hair now sometimes. And while I'm making that hair, that time we are talking, we are bonding. So even though it could be hard at the beginning, but if you find a way around it, you see the good in this hardness that we think there are. So I think that, so for me, it's a blend of both. And even as regards the domestic help, like when I was growing up, I had my grandmother raised me, so we always had like help in the house every point in time. There were help who goes to the shop, there were those who were at home, so we had that ample amount of help. So I got used to that life, right? Even when I got married, I had that form of assistance too. So I saw it as a norm. But now when I think about it, I'm like, it's not even right. Like, these are girls in 16, 18, you keep in the house. My grandma will not even allow us to maltreat them, right? But they'll still like learn it. But they are there in your house. They're like, their life is on hold, so to speak. They are serving you. There's nothing they are doing with their life than just to help you in the house. So I didn't even think that. Living here has opened my eyes to the fact that it's not even right. These things. Some people even have even younger kids, house help, like 10, 12, 13-year-olds in their house as maids. It's not right. So I don't even miss that area anymore, because I've seen that it's not even okay, right? So we just find a way here. There's dishwasher, there's washing machine. There are things you could, make your life easier. Like before now, I used to like do bulk cooking in the weekends. So now what I do, since I work from home, I just try to cook some things during the week. So I even out the work I have to do weekends. So weekends I'm a brief free. I have a spouse who is helping. I have kids who are doing things. My kids, use the vacuum sweeper to sweep. So the burden is less on everybody. So you don't feel like it's all you doing it. So that's how I've been able to, find a balance around it here. So it's been 4 years, over 4 years. So I've sort of, acclimatized myself to this is my life now. This is how things are now. So I've adjusted to it nicely. And I think that I'm thankful that I live in this kind of society where it allows you to be independent and to inculcate some habits in your kids. So when they grow up, they don't think that these things are for girls. My boy knows that anything can be done by him or his sisters, right? So that's what I'll say about that.
Okay, by the way, I see all the food you make during the weekend when you post them on your IG page. Okay, Dr. Yewande, let's go with you.
Awesome. It's so interesting to hear everyone's story. I have a different perspective because I've actually lived in Canada for almost 21 years now. My family came when I was a late teenager, so I was pretty much formed as a child. I already knew who I was and where I came from. I completed high school, did university here, medical school here, got married, and now I'm raising my own children. So I have sort of my parents' perspective, my perspective, and then now also raising my own children in this environment. The thing that I want to touch on, a couple of things. One, identity. And I mean, growing up, I was already pretty confident in who I was. I knew my name. I was comfortable saying my name, those kinds of things. I was comfortable with the way I spoke. But subconsciously, there's always that issue of you know that you're not really, really, really from here, as long as you look different, your name is different. As welcoming as Canada is, for a long time, I did not accept Canada as home. I just felt like, because I was used to going to boarding school, I just felt like this was where I came to school. Eventually, I would pack my stuff and then go back to Nigeria, set up my practice. That was my dream. Eventually, it just seemed like I got comfortable, had kids, and it became home. So I'm just realizing that my children, they're going to have a different perspective from me, but I really don't want them to lose the advantage that we have as Nigerians, as Africans. I don't want them to lose the aspects of our culture. I think it was Marina that was saying that there are aspects of our culture that we're leaving behind because they're not productive, but there's still aspects of our culture that I love, that when we were in Nigeria, we sort of took them for granted. For example, for us, language was something we took for granted. Whereas here, I look around us and I see how other people are raising their children and their home language is their primary language. And I'm like, you know, we took that for granted. So identity is one thing. We were very deliberate when we named our children. We gave them full Nigerian names. They don't have any English names. And we teach them how to say their names correctly and be bold. Hopefully, once they start going back, because they're at home right now, once they start going back to school and people are trying to call them something different, to stand up and say, no, this is my name, this is what it means. And I feel like that's part of what confidence is about, is knowing who you are, being proud of where you come from, and being able to stand up for yourself when other people are trying to intimidate you. So identity is something that I see a lot of people, a lot of my peers, a lot of people who came around the time that I did, struggle with, because it wasn't really imbibed in us growing up. We sort of switched back and forth. Sometimes we'll change our names. Sometimes we'll try and change our accents, you know. So as raising our children now, for me, I'm very intentional about our language, their names, you know, where they come from, saying positive things about where they come from, so that when they grow up, they don't have that complex that can happen with a lot of immigrants.
Yeah.
So one. The other thing I want to talk about is education. In Nigeria, as we know, the education system, when I moved, it was a struggle. It was a struggle because I was used to reading the textbook, cramming. When exam comes, is whatever you cram. If you miss one word, they've already started removing marks, right? Whereas here, they're testing your understanding. They're testing your critical thinking. And so I remember in high school, I would be sleeping 3 a.m. I'm still sleeping on my computer because I'm trying to understand what the test is asking for, the projects that they give. Even kids here, the projects can be so overwhelming. And I'm realizing that it's not about 1 + 1 is 2 or cramming the 10 times table. I mean, the world has advanced, right? Yes, it's important for them to understand mathematics and English and excel in school. But more than that, it's important for us to be intentional. As some of the amazing ladies have said, our parenting has to be intentional. We don't leave it up to the teachers to do the teaching. They come back when we ask them questions. So, you know, not just 1 + 1 is 2, but how do you apply it to everyday life? How do you apply it when you're playing with your siblings? How do you apply it in the kitchen, right? So those are some of the things that I know are very different from being raised back home. The issue of identity, like what's identity? Like your name is your name, your language is your language. It wasn't a big deal. Everyone around you looked the same. Whereas here, because we are raising Canadians, whether we like it or not, they are going to have some of the mentality of Canadians. We have to be more intentional about imbibing some of the cultural things, the things that have to do with the identity. It has to be intentional. We can't take it for granted. And then also the education part, realizing that there's more to school than times tables and cramming. It's the world has evolved. The world is looking for problem solvers, critical thinkers, people that can apply what they've learned to situations. And that's what's going to take for our children to excel. So those are the main things that I'm realizing that are different. There's a lot of things, but in addition to what the other ladies have said, support and all those things, identity, education, those are the things that I know are quite different here compared to coming from back home.
Okay, so if you can just chip this in. I'm so glad that you touched on that the identity part, because that's one part that we don't really think about as immigrants, how it affects our children. Like, we're coming from a most of them are coming from cultures where, or classrooms where you walk into class. I'm very sure that some of our children realized that they were Black when we moved to Canada, because it's not a thing in Nigeria. Because you walk into class, everybody looks like you. You don't think anything is different. You don't think you look different, or you don't think you have to conform to anything. You just go and you just be, because everybody looks like you. But coming here, you walk into class and you're like, okay, why is my son comes home almost on a daily basis with questions like, why do I look different? Why do people look tan? Why do they? I was not prepared for that conversation, or I wasn't thinking about it when it came. I'm like, in actual sense, they look different. My son came back from school sometime recently, and he was saying, oh, that they had a project they were going to do, and he was supposed to write about something Nigeria. And then the book that they gave them to study to do the project had pictures of wooden houses and huts as where people live in Nigeria. I'm like, what? Come, son, let me show you something. So I brought out my laptop. I just Googled Lekki, Lagos images and showed him. I said, this is Nigeria. We went through all the pictures, went through the house. I'm like, what? This house is even bigger than our house. I'm like, exactly right. So sometimes when we drive on the street and we're driving in places that are not so, the houses are not so posh, I'm like, this is Canada. But do you remember those houses we saw in Nigeria? So there are huts and there are wood everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
There are people who will be poor. It does not mean that everybody who comes from Nigeria is poor and everybody who lives in Canada is rich. I said, no. That's not the truth. That's just one example. And I'm selling this to everybody. Like, if you ever hear that, those things are unconscious. Those things are subtle. You might look at it like it doesn't mean anything, but that's a picture registered in his head. Remember, he was 3 when we moved. He barely had any understanding of Nigeria, of Abuja, where he was born and where we lived before he moved. So to have another person be the one to narrate what his Nigeria should look like, we have to consciously interrupt those patterns. So that's just something I wanted to chip in there. I'm very glad you touched on the identity topic and education.
Yes, and I agree with you, Marina. I agree with you, Yewande. It's something that I'm also struggling with. Unfortunately for myself, my mother tongue isn't the smoothest in my mouth. I don't know how to pronounce some words in Yoruba as well as I would. So I put that burden on my spouse to try to inculcate that language. And I try to speak it with them too. Like this, my daughters say "Eka Roma." They greet me in our language. So for the first 2 years, settling down, I hadn't gotten to this identity thing. It was good morning, ma, good morning, sir. No, but now it's Eka Roma, Eka Rosa, So and we've been doing that for 1 year now. I'm so proud of it. And I realized that, like you said, it's subconscious. If you as a parent, you're proud of your country, you carry your Nigerian culture, you sway with it. I play with my name a lot. I say, I'm a baby, I'm Moyo. Oh, mom, what does a baby mean? I talk about it a lot. And I find that my kids are starting to do that too. My youngest daughter is she does clock 5 in February. I just noticed the trend, and it's very interesting. When we went to the dentist, and they were like, Kanye, she does not have it. She refuses it. she refuses it totally. And I'm always so wowed myself, because I'm like, do you want to correct me too? Because sometimes she corrects me too, and I'm like, I think you named yourself. Oh, she would say that's not how to pronounce it. It's Kanye. And I'm so proud of that. And so like, you're just 5, and the first day our teacher got her name right, she came home. The first thing she told me was, Mom, Miss Jones finally got my name right. Can you believe that? And I was so surprised, because these are not things I would expect a 5-year-old to notice or care about. But she cares so much about the pronunciation of her name. It's her identity. Same with my daughters too. They love their dreadlocks. They're looking for African things. When I tell my daughter to do a project or do something, she's asking about things related to Nigeria. Like, can I do this? When we're going to write a poem, she was like, can I get my Ankara top, please, Mom? I need to be different. I want to be different, So it's something that we should really, really be conscious about. It's unfortunate that we hear more negative things about Nigeria than the positive things. But I think that our culture is so rich. And one thing I told my spouse recently was that it's unfortunate that other people are telling our stories for us. It is really unfortunate. I was trying to get the folklores and the myths to play to my children. I was looking for Shango, the story of the god of thunder, the story of Shango, and I was checking YouTube and everything. But 90% of the stories about Shango was being said by a white man. And I was like, what's going on? He's not even pronouncing Shango right. And it's not about race. I appreciate that they are sharing it for us. But it's high time that we also share things ourselves. Perspectives matter, And it's really good that we're being conscious about it and, letting these kids know where they really are from. We have a rich culture and we should never let that die.
Yeah, I think what happens to a lot of immigrants, mom, is they come here and then they just lose themselves. They don't pay attention to these things. You're trying to settle in an environment that is very different from what you used to know. And then a lot of moms I'm very thankful that I follow some of you on social media, because some things happened between me and my son, and I didn't pay attention to it. Not until I saw it in Sherry Fat's page. She talked about it and she was like, no, don't let it go. And then I went back to revisit that issue. So I think it's very important we're having this session, actually. So anybody that comes, whether you're with us or you're going to come and watch later, it's something very important. So it's not just hustling to come to Canada. You need to understand the things you should look out for. Very important, so that you don't lose yourself and then the children are growing without confidence and all of that. So let's just head straight on to how we create work-life balance, because we're all busy and we need this balance. Like, I think that's what keeps us going. We need this balance. So how do you stay productive, create a good work-life balance, and also have time to invest in the children, especially like these kids are growing, right? So this is the time you need to start looking out what talents they have, what path are they, going towards and all that. In as much as we're immigrants and we're trying to even find ourselves, we still need to invest time in these children and help them find themselves. Because when they grow up, we won't be able to do that anymore. And time flies and they are growing very fast. So
okay.
Let's start with, I don't know who wants to start. Okay,
I can start.
Okay.
So the work-life balance, to be honest, I haven't gotten that right yet. I still am working very hard on it. I think flexibility is very important. And that was one of the major decisions I had to make when I got called to the Ontario bar, deciding whether I wanted to work as a lawyer under somebody or be on my own. And that was what made me make that decision to be on my own. I decided, I think I really need to. My children kind of wrote the exams with me. So when I landed in 2018 and I started writing this bar exams and the NCA exams, my children were involved. They knew that, don't go there, she's reading, don't go, because I had knitted myself and started reading. I would share any day. The day I was going to write my last bar exam, I was hearing because I told my spouse to please take them to my friend's place, a neighbor's place, so that, because this exam rules, if we hear a voice, we're going to cut you off, things like that. And I was like, I have 3 children. I know my kids are not quiet. Let me play safe and take them to a neighbor's house. From the moment they were going down the street, I was hearing my second daughter say, today is my mom's last exam. Today is my mom's last exam. So since I landed, I fused myself so much in this licensing process. I've been a little bit selfish trying to face my career, and these children have, been on this journey with me. So I made up my mind that I was going to be on my own for now, at least, so that I can make time for them. And that's the thing about flexibility. I want to be flexible, and what works this week may not work next week. So I'm that flexible. There's no rule book to it. Tonight we may be having a dance. If people that follow my page or my status, people always message me, we want more from you and your girls and everything. We have dance nights, we have karaoke nights, we have Monopoly nights, we have things. And the family I'm from, they're very conscious about your talent. Because my dad is a lawyer, and he did some acting in his days. My uncle is a popular producer, Tunji Bamishigme, is also a lawyer and a producer and writer. So we've kind of always been in this creative arts world. So they're conscious about things like that. I grew up with my dad telling me, okay, take these 2 pieces of paper, go and write a story for me. Whoever has the best story is getting 100 naira, you know? So they were very conscious about how they brought us up and how they found out what we were good at, knowing that my brother is great with drawing and creative arts, knowing that Moya is good with writing and she talks a lot. She'll definitely probably be a lawyer too. You know, finding out all these things and nurturing it. And what I say is I'm really trying to learn from my parents. I think they did a fantastic job with me and my siblings. I'm really trying to learn from them. And inculcate it and then remix it to what would work for me and my kids. So last year when the pandemic hit, I figured that there was a lot of time on our hands and in the children's hands too, because they had not started these online classes at that moment. And I was like, Kishi, do you want to work on a project during this pandemic? You know, do you want to set a goal for yourself and follow through? And she said, yes, I've actually been thinking about it, but I don't know what exactly I want to do. Coincidentally, she's a girl of many gifts. She's good with the keyboard. She's good at drawing. She's good with so many things. So I said, you know what? You can't do everything. What do you think you feel like doing right now? And we talked about, she said, you know, Mommy, you remember when you wrote movies and the actors and actresses came to the house and shot the movie and all? I said, yes. I said, do you want to write a book? And she said, I think I would. I have a lot of things in my head. I said, yes, I understand how that feels as a writer myself. When you have a lot of things in your head and you just need to pour it out. You need an outlet to pour it out, be it written, be it speaking with somebody or movie or something. And I said, yes, you can do it. And she said, are you sure? I said, you know what? I'll give you something. Let me dangle a carrot in front of her and say, if you write a book, I'm going to make sure it gets published. And guess what? In 8 months, my daughter wrote a book. It's going to get published maybe in next month. Like, it's left to me now. She gave me the book. And anytime I read, I'm like, I will look at her again. I'll be like, wow, was that in this brain? You know, it's something we just have to help them with. We need to draw it out from them. We need to understand each child. I'm not expecting my second daughter to write a book because that's not our niche.
Yeah.
Neither am I expecting the third one to. I understand that they may do things differently. One may have a strong suit in math, and one may have a strong suit in entertainment, and one may have a strong suit in writing. You know, so I'm amazed. I'm proud. I'm super proud that she was 10 at the time. At 10 years old, my daughter wrote a book. It's something that the other children too can do, you know, but we need to speak with them. You need to have one-on-ones. So as much as you are a mom, you're also a best friend. I keep fighting for that position. I tell her, do you have a best friend? Who's the best friend? But me, I'm first though. You know, you play with them. You be there for them. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect mom. Far from it. I learn every day. I look at my friends and I'm like, one of my friends said our kids are always fighting. So she sent me a picture, and the picture was the 2 children were in a big shirt, in one big shirt. And I was like, what's going on? She said she's trying to teach them to cope with each other for that few minutes. And I copied it. I told her, I said, this is genius, you know. So, you know, I'm so proud of my daughters. I try to encourage them. I try to teach them as much as I can. When they need the help, I give it to them. And also, you know, just give them that carrot. Give them that carrot. Kids need gratification of some sort. I remember when we didn't really like chores. But when my dad would be like, whoever does the most chores gets a goodie. then my brother and I will start saying, no, I'm washing the plates. I'm washing the plates, not you, because of that gratification. So be it FaceTime with their games or their tablets. Okay, you get an extra hour, but you need to do this, just try to explain it to them. And yeah, like I said, everybody has talents. It's just eating, you need to pull it out from them.
Wow, thank you so much, Mo. Okay,
I can go next. I can go next. So speaking about work-life balance, for the longest time, I thought that was a myth that did not exist. I assume that there's no such thing as balance. Like balance is like perfection. For every time that you're paying attention to A, something else is suffering. And that's the truth. For me, I've just come to the point where I've made peace with the fact that I'm not going to be able to give 100% to everything. Yeah. So I'm going to find what is priority per time and deal with it. In the midst of this, my struggle, I watched a video. I don't know who that person was. I can't remember what her name was. One of those videos they post on Instagram and you don't really know the beginning or the end. But there's a part of that thing that I saw that got me thinking. And the woman said, for a woman, it's hard to be able to create balance. It's hard to be able to find that place where everything is catered to. If your family is 100% catered to, something is missing. Maybe your career is suffering. Your career had to step back for that to happen. If your career is 100%, your family had to step back for that to happen. If your career and your family is 100%, you had to step back for that to happen. So more than half the time, you're not going to be able to give 100% to everything. And she used an analogy that I would never forget. And she said it's like glass and rubber balls. It's like, as a woman, as a mom, as a wife, as all the hats that we wear, it's like you're juggling glass and rubber balls. At all times, there's a ball in the air. It's now going to depend on you to say, which ball do I have to catch in this moment that would not have adverse consequences? At some point, our children are the glass balls. Our careers will drop as the rubber balls. The rubber ball drops, but it will bounce. But the glass ball will drop and shatter. So at every time, you need to figure out, what is my glass ball? There are days where my children's school will send a message and say, oh, the kids are doing arts. What is art? They're putting their hand inside paint and pasting on paper. If I have a board meeting or a presentation I have to do at work at that time, my children become the rubber balls. The presentation will have to be the glass ball in that situation. There are other times where I'm in the middle of a meeting and I hear my phone, pam, pam, like, oh my God, is that school? You check and they're like, your daughter's running a temperature, she needs a doctor. Work automatically becomes a rubber ball. In that situation, my child takes priority, So just knowing which ball to catch per time, know what you're juggling at the time is how we create balance. So for me, balance is a daily project. Balance today, like Moyo said, is very different from balance tomorrow. And there comes the place of spouses. Most times when I hear some of my friends say, oh, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm like, at the end of the day, you remember that these children actually have two parents, right? That's where the place of the spouses come in. As busy as my husband and I are, I don't think we have ever, in the 5 years we have lived here, I don't think we have ever missed any three-way teacher-parent conference. If they say parents will have to show up in school, it's resumption, it's family night. My children's school, they do that. When they resume, they'll have like a barbecue night to celebrate welcome. We have never missed anyone in 5 years. It's between both of us. We find a way to create whose schedule has accommodation for this right now. So if I can't go, if they're doing Christmas Carol in school and my son is going to take a solo and he wants his both parents to watch them, we'll beg him and negotiate and say, can one parent come? Because daddy can be here, mommy can be here. One parent is there. Bottom line, somebody has shown up for them, right? So it's finding that middle ground, that's marrying both schedules so that things are covered per time. For me right now, with YouTube, with school, with full-time work, I am almost always missing in the evenings because work ends at 5. I have a school project every week. And this is what my life is going to look like for the next 2 to 3 years. I have things I'm doing every week. My children have come to understand that mommy is in school. She's studying. right? So there are some things I can't go to mommy for at this time. If I need this thing at this time, daddy is on hand to do that for me. And honestly, I know that I'm still sane because of the spouse that I have. I would not have been able to do this if I didn't get the support that I'm getting from him. So they know that after 5, we'll spend some time together as a family from between 5 to 7:38. And then when it's time for them to go to bed, I'm jumping into my schoolwork. On days where we have family nights, we do family nights in my house every week on Wednesdays. I know that for family nights, I cannot be doing school during family night. So I step school back at that time, focus on family nights. When they go to bed, I can go back and do my schoolwork. So at the end of the day, something is happening every time. And the truth is, I have learned how to now prioritize myself, because away from mom, away from a wife, away from student, away from employee, I am first me. I am first Marina. It is me, a fully nourished Marina that can be a mom. It's a nourished Marina that can be a wife. Like, you cannot pour out of an empty cup. So I'm learning now to be able to just step back and say, see, this time, if this house wants to catch fire, let it catch fire. But I'm not coming out of this bathroom. It is me time. If anybody wants to die, let the ambulance come. I will not come out. I had to be that conscious before I could steal time for myself. Because recently, a project at work told the people in my team, say, do like a day in your life. Just walk me through what you do on a daily basis. And for me, what I thought I did was like a general summary. It was still 4 PowerPoint slides, 4 summary. So if I give you step by step, what will now happen? And I realized that, babe, it seems like you're taking on a lot more than you can handle. From work, from YouTube, from being in school. Right now, if you see my YouTube inbox, the emails there, I cannot even be bothered. At some point, when I see the number of unread emails, I started to have anxiety, like have heart palpitations to say, God, I'm slacking somewhere. But I don't have to. I have to prioritize and give what is priority per time. That's all you get. After that, I'm done. Sorry, I'm doing the Lord's work, but now they are alive. Now if you reply me, Labi. So we're going to have to take care of ourselves. So I've just found a way to accept that. Look, some days I'm going to be an irresponsible mother. I'm learning how to outsource what I can outsource. I had somebody come and clean my house from top to bottom yesterday, because I cannot come and kill myself. Nobody died. The goal is that the house is clean. It does not matter who did it. Is the house clean? Yes, we are all fine. Church closed, pastor go house. We are fine.
My goodness. True. I like the way you're breaking it down, because the truth is, a lot of women don't come out to talk about this. They'll tell you, oh, women are excelling, but they don't give you the breakdown that everything cannot be 100%, and that is the truth. Like, that
absolutely. The days that there are days where I feel like an irresponsible parent. Some days I just say, you know what, something has to give. Or there are times when my daughter goes to school, she comes back, she's injured, or I didn't see it until the next morning. I'm like, how did I notice my kid was injured? Because the night before I was trying to submit project before 10 p.m. Those days happen. There are days where I step back. There are times where I just cry, like overwhelmed from all the many things that I am responsible for. There are times I step back, I'm like, you know what? She's gonna be fine. It's just a cut to heal. But some other times, the struggle is a lot. And like Moyo said, every day is different. Today you find balance, tomorrow everything's scattered. But we'll try again the other day. And so far we're all alive. So thank God.
Okay, Sherifat, let's hear from you. How you try to maintain work-life balance and have time to invest in the children. So you guys are saying this for intending immigrants, new immigrants, and even the old ones, just so that they can have an insight into what these things entail.
Yeah, I understand. So what I would say is not different from what the other ladies have said. I mean, it's similar. We have similar stories, similar strategies. But for me, creating a work-life balance is first is planning and priority. Like, what is priority at this time? What I plan. Like, we have a roster in my house. My son has one that he does for himself. My daughter has one. I have one. Like, I have things that I've planned out. Some days they go as planned. Some days doesn't go as planned. But that's our plan. It's a guide for me that keeps me in check. And priority, like I have things that I do at this time. If something else comes at that time, it wouldn't override that. I just plan myself and prioritize what needs to be done at that time. And also, communication with your spouse is very, very important. Sometimes that we assume that, oh, you should help me with this. I speak, like I delegate work. You have to do this. I want to do that. So we delegate and we communicate that this is what we're supposed to do. So we don't have so we're not like living on different pages of the book, right? So we plan and just everybody does what they're supposed to do. And also I'm very intentional about my parenting, like because aside being a mother, I'm a mother of Black kids. So I'm very intentional about how I raise them, about how I try to be in their lives. There was a day my son and daughter had like a pajamas day at school, so we forgot about it. Their school is about 18 minutes drive from the house, and going back home to pick the pajamas was not like almost impossible. But I knew that not giving them the pajamas would, they will not die, but I knew that it was going to affect them some way. So I drove to the next Walmart store and I got them the pajamas. So out of curiosity, I asked my son that, so how would they have felt if you didn't get the pajamas? He said I would have felt bad, but I knew that you're going to bring it. So that's, for me, that statement made me feel I had like two feelings. One was like, this boy don't see me finish. Like he knew that I was going to bring these pajamas for him. Then to me understand that my son does trust me. He was sure that his mother will not leave him hanging. You're right. So that's, for me, those are like, even though sometimes parenting could be very, very overwhelming, those those moments are like okay, you're doing something right. You understand? So my even though people say, oh, my kids, aside my kids, me first as well. You can only give what you have. So I try to be as sane as possible. Like it's only if I'm okay that I can give this motherhood journey a good go, right? So I try to also be intentional about myself. I take care of myself. Like the days I just go off. There was a time I was pregnant with my last child. I took a time off to go to the hotel. My mom thought I was crazy. Like I took time off. I went to a nearby hotel in Halifax. That was my first time, but I just needed to leave that space. I love my kids. I love my husband, but there are days I want to just be away from them. So I do such conscious, like I take such conscious effort to take care of myself as well. Work is also a priority for me. So when I'm working, I know that I have to give my best. The fact that I'm a mother does not mean that I'll neglect work. So I try to do everything. My manager follows me on Facebook. She knows how crazy I am about my kids. So when we're having like maybe one-on-one meeting, she'll be like, oh, she knows my kids' names, by the way. She'll tell me, so what are you doing? I have the kids and all of that. She even give me like, maybe have like 30 minutes meeting. She'll like, okay, take 10 minutes off to go, attend to your baby and all of that. So they know that this person is like, she's a mom. So I also don't allow that to also, affect my work. So I just try, like Marina said, there's no perfection. Like you cannot have like a total, score in one area. Like you just do your best. Like I just strive to be as good as I can in all areas of my life. Like when I'm writing, I tell them I'm making this article, please just give me some time. My kids understands that. At least my two older ones understands that. Aside my youngest, who's just 2, I understand that. So my kids understand when mommy is working, she's working. I always tell them it's only if it's an emergency, come to my room. If it's not an emergency, go and meet daddy, or just wait till I'm done. They understand that. So I try to also, imbibe, cultivate that habit of them being patient, being understanding, and knowing that even though they are my children, I also have, have needs, personal needs as well. So those are the ways that I try to create a balance. I even, call my girlfriends, let's go see a movie together. Like I have that kind of, plans in my head, like, because I know that when I'm stressed, I don't give my all. So I try to be a good person first, to be like, there are days I call my family members in Nigeria. I just take one weekend off. Okay, this weekend, I'm calling my mother, my mother-in-law, everybody, my family. You get, so I just try to just try my best, really. Like I don't strive for perfection. I don't want to be the best mother. I just want to be the best I can be for everybody at the time. So I don't like take on so much and be stressed. I just do what I can as a human being, because it can only give what you have. So that's how I try to create the balance. I'm in my kids' life, I'm in my husband's life, I'm in my own life, I'm in my other family people's life. I just try to just create time for everybody and do the best I can, really. That's how I try to create the balance.
Thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Yewande, we'll go with you. I'm not sure we'll cover all the things we have set up for today. In fact, this should be something we'll do series by series.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe part 2 might be necessary because there's just
yeah.
good information.
Okay, so just go on.
Yeah, so for me, the thing that I have realized is so key when it comes to balance or integrating your life, harmony, however you want to put it, is focusing on your own focus. Let me just put it that way. Focus on your focus. I have a mentor who says that comparison is something that gets us as mothers, as women, as immigrants. We find it hard to just focus on what we have in front of us with what we have and make the best of it and see it as blessings and make the most of it. Let me give an example. So for me, I come also from a background where, similar to Moyo, high achieving parents, my siblings. I have a lawyer, a doctor. My husband, my one of my sisters is a doctor. One of my sisters is a lawyer. My brother is in the finance industry. So we're very so achievement, like work, professionalism is very important to us. So when I had my first daughter, here in Canada, if you don't know, we are entitled, if you're not self-employed, if you're an employee, you're entitled to, now it's 18 months of maternity leave. So I remember one of my aunts coming over. I think my daughter was maybe about 6 weeks old. So when are you going back to work? And I'm like, I don't have any plans of going back to work anytime soon. It's like, no, doctors don't take more than 3 months off. I'm like, mew. As for me, I want to take all my time off because, as Marina was saying, season per season, I'm so sensitive to seasons. And no matter what anybody else is doing, I'm going to focus on what I know my spirit wants and what I know my spirit needs. And to take a few steps back, the only way you can do that is to plan, as Sharifa was saying, to plan and to budget. We didn't know we were doing this, but it turns out that, we're very avid savers. And this is why finances I'm so passionate about it. We used to save my husband's income. We used to save my income and spend my husband's income. We managed ourselves. We lived in an affordable apartment. We had one car. In fact, people have been begging me to change my car. I still drive the same car. My Toyota Corolla 2010. I love my car. I have no plans of changing it. It works well. And so no debt, so we really, really managed our finances and we saved a lot. Not because we were planning. I didn't know anything about maternity. We took some time before we had our children. That was intentional. We wanted to enjoy ourselves. And also it took some time before we had our first child. So all that time, we managed our expenses. We saved. We were saving. And so when it came to taking a year off, there was no pressure to go back to work. I have many colleagues who would love to take a year off, but because expenses won't allow them to do so. In fact, I remember I was taking my son for his checkup, the pediatrician, we went to school together, and I knew she had just had a baby. And I was like, Thad, what's going on? She's like, well, she has her mortgage to pay. And this is a doctor. Before anyone comes and says, oh, it's easy for you to say you're a doctor, you make this, you make that. Even doctors themselves, if you don't know how to manage your finances, when it comes time to the season where you feel like you should be at home with your children, you won't be able to do so. But if you're busy comparing yourself to, oh, this person is driving this, and this person sends their kids to this school, or this person's house looks like this, or this person just upgraded their kitchen, and you're busy spending all your effort, your energy, looking to the left, looking to your right, you won't be able to plan in a way that makes sense for you and your family. Mm-hmm. And that's the source of a lot of stress, a lot of disharmony, a lot of unbalance. So all that to say, when you're here, when you're thinking of coming to Canada, the one thing you should understand is focusing on what you and your family need per time. Don't follow the rules that other people are trying to impose on you. You should be at work, you should be doing this, doctors don't do this, accountants don't do that, lawyers don't do this. Focus on what you and your family need, because when things start to fall apart, those people are not going to be there. That's just the truth. You are the mother in your home, you are the wife in your home, you know what is best for you and make your choices accordingly. And the second thing everybody has also touched on it, is the issue of grace, right? The issue of grace, giving yourself the grace to just be, the grace to have a messy house from time to time, the grace to give your children bread and butter for dinner, the grace to not bath them every day. Do you get, like, there's some things that you just let go, because in this environment where you are doing it all by yourself, you cannot come and die, because the truth is, God forbid, if something were to happen to you, I mean, your children love you, they'll remember you, but somebody else will come and do your work, right? Somebody else will come and take care of them. You know, do you get what I'm trying to say? That at the end of the day, you can't kill yourself over this matter, because it's just not worth it. The children will be okay. As Marina said, they get hurt, get up, clean the wound, and move on, right? You drop the ball from time to time, but give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. I mean, it's not that deep. The most important thing, I heard someone say that children, the way they spell love is time, T-I-M-E, time. That's how they spell love. So everything else that we're trying to do for them, everything else that we're trying to perfect, you know, the best clothes, the best schools, the best, you know, at the end of the day, if we're not there for them, if we're not there for them because we're sick, or because we're stressed, or because emotionally we don't have the capacity to connect, then what's the point at the end of the day? So those are the things that I want to talk about. So yeah, just basically letting go of comparison, planning for time off. I love when Sherifat said that she will just check out, go to a hotel and enjoy herself, you know. But if you don't have the resources to do that, how do you do that?
Yes.
So planning for it, making sure that you're not spending your money because you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, but you're intentionally putting money aside to say, you know what, I need to take care of my mind. I need to take care of my body. I need to check out from time to time. I need to take a break from work from time to time. But having the resources, the finances to be able to do that is so important. And then for sure, like, just grace. It's not that deep. Life should not be, you know, I love what Moyo was saying, that, you know, party time, fun time, life should not be that serious. But if you're not emotionally well, you can't have the fun that you were designed to. So really, that's all I have to say on that issue of balance.
Thank you so much. So I think okay, Sherifat, go ahead. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, just because Yewande mentioned about maternity leave, I just thought to chip in this. So a lot of people have this misconception that because you're on maternity leave for 1 year, you're losing so much income. So I had a friend who told me she was going to cut off 1 year maternity leave because she had a mortgage to pay. So I asked her to break it down as to what she'll be saving. So I have to, so when I had my baby in 2018, I had a 4-year-old and her. So if I'd gone back to work before that 1 year, I'd have been paying daycare for 2 kids, right? So if you break it down, even though you are getting lesser income, in the long run, you may even save more than those who will go back to work. So if I was to pay daycare for 2 kids and that, then also because I was on a lower income during maternity leave, my kids would have access to free swimming, subsidized soccer. So when I had like a calculation of all of these things I was saving, I will save more than someone who will go back to work and earn their full salary. Your full salary, you get taxed on it. Your maternity leave EI is not taxed. You get that amount flat. So in the long run, people need to understand that you don't have to rush to go back to work. You may even be saving more than those who will go back to work before 1 year. So please, a calculation to know that, are you really getting much money when you work before 1 year, or you are not? I thought to add that to what Yewande said.
Very important. Thank you so much. It's very important. So I believe work-life balance is something immigrants or intended immigrants should think about, right? Because if you get it wrong, it's going to affect every area of your life. It's going to affect your career. It's going to, in fact, you'll be asking yourself, who asked me to move to Canada? So it's not all about writing IELTS, doing WES, coming to Canada without I've seen parents who come into Canada, and because they don't have the balance, mom and dad, they are separated because they don't have the right balance. They become so stressed. I've seen people who come in with 2 children, and government social worker have taken the 2 children. Why? Because they have a bad balance. At the end of the day, you're coming to Canada to have a good life for your children, but you end up losing those children. I've seen women who have come, I have prayer points, so a social worker collected my children. I'm like, what happened? You came here to give them a good life, but because of the lack of balance. So the truth is, People don't pay attention to this. They don't know the impact until it starts to happen to them. My husband went to the store one day with the kids and he left them in the car. So someone will call and say, oh, you left your kids in the car. So those kind of things, people don't think about it, because in Nigeria, you can leave your child in the car and stroll and come back, but you can't do it here. So I think as you're hustling to immigrate, also be thinking about, I have 3 children, I have 2. Even if you don't have any child, you're going to get married and have children. So you should start to think about these things, maintain balance. So I'll just go to the last point. I'm skipping a lot of points. So I'll just, sum it all up so that we can wrap up. So let's give, if you have any advice for future new or old immigrant moms, especially those of them. I get a lot of DMs. In fact, that's why I had to do this session. So many people say, oh, how do you cope? You're a student. There was a time I had a part-time job. Even as a student, I was doing teaching assistant. I was still having another part-time job, and I had to stay with the kids. And I mean, I just came here and I had the baby and all that. So people want to know, how do you cope? A lot of people are worried. They are good to go with their CRS scores and all that, but they don't want to make the move because they are scared. So we are here. We are immigrants. We are doing it. I'm not even a full immigrant yet, but you guys are full immigrants. Some of you are citizens already, and you guys are already doing this thing. So let's just, what advice do you have for them to get them prepared? What can they do to get them prepared? What can they do differently, or what can they do specially or extra to get them prepared for the journey ahead, so that they don't come here and then you lose out? No, the children are growing haywire, everybody's going gaga in the house, the home is broken and all that. Like the realities of being an immigrant, when it starts to set in after you've landed, a lot of women will become mentally unstable, men too, and all that. So what are the things people can do differently to plan ahead of time to get them ready? So Dr. Yewande, I want to go with you because you're always the last. So let's go the other way around.
Okay, so for me, the thing that I personally have seen causes a lot of stress for new immigrants is finances. Okay, I've seen it cause a lot of stress because people underestimate how challenging it can be to find work, to get a job. It can take a long time. I've seen it take years for some people. So the first thing I would say to prepare, especially if you are married, is to really have that heart-to-heart conversation, right? And say, okay, first of all, amass as much as you can, right? Save as much as you can, because the money will go quickly, especially if you have kids that need to go to childcare. So save as much as you can. If you think you need X thousands of dollars, double it or even triple it if you can, if you have the capacity to. If it means being disciplined. I know that things are tough in Nigeria now. I know that the price of food, diesel, all of that has gone up. But if you are preparing to come to Canada, I would say just try and have that buffer of finances as much as you can. One, and then 2, have that conversation and say, if push comes to shove, what's our plan? Is, because some people will come and say that they can't do this job or they can't do that job. I'm not saying get comfortable. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying get comfortable working at Walmart or what have you, but just know that there might be that period of sacrifice that you might need to make in order to try and get by financially. And once you get here, don't try and do what everybody else is doing because you think that's the way it must be. Don't do that, because you're going to find that you'll just be poking holes in your money bucket and things will drain. If people come and within 2 months they're buying their house, they're buying car, it doesn't have to be that way. Close your eyes, come up with a plan, come up with a goal, and manage yourselves. Like me, I don't shop for clothes. Even till now, I don't shop. Like I can wear, people abuse me and I do not care. I can wear the same dress every time. Like next time I do a broadcast, it might still be the same, as long as I feel like I look good and I'm cool, and I don't care. But some people will come buy, change wardrobe every month. Me, my kids, my husband is always laughing at me. I buy two sizes too big for them, right? People might say, she's a doctor, what is she doing? But it's because I have plans and I know that these things are not important. Of course, if it gets to a time where it's time to take pictures and it's an important event, yes, we will do things and they will look good. I'm not saying my kids don't look good. I'm just saying that there are some things that are not important. And if you have goals, if you really, that financial piece is so important that you need to be smart about it. You need to avoid comparing yourself to others. Focus on what you and your family need per time. And yeah, really just prepare and have open communication about money. I know it's hard, but having open lines of communication about money is also very important. And that's really it for me.
Sharifat, let's go with you.
Okay, sure. So for me, one will be, I know when they're speaking about identity, I didn't see anything about that. I was having some issue with my internet. I just thought to like, something about that. So identity for my kids, I have people who tell their kids, oh, when they misbehave, you're gonna go back to Nigeria, for instance. I don't tell that to my kids. I try to make you know that this is, even though this is home for us now, our home is in Nigeria. Like, we have plans to go and do Salah in Nigeria. If we have enough money, we'll go there every year to do like Eid, our celebration. So I make them that even though we are here now, home is Nigeria. And even though it's not so good right now, but that's still home for us. So I try to make them understand that. So when it comes to people taking up like the service taking of your children because they call my kids, will not like, that's not going to like it's very, very rare for that to happen, because I've made them understand that this is our culture. Like, I don't do things that are equal to them for them to report me, but I try to make this is our culture. This is how we reprimand kids, for instance. This is how we do things. Even though that that your friend said, oh, I called the police for my mom or my dad because they did something to me, doesn't make it right. I also don't subscribe to to parents who beat their kids, for instance, like where we were back home. Even though we thought it was discipline, it was, to me, it was like abuse. Like, parents literally kill their kids in the name of discipline. So I try to create a balance. So I make my kids understand that this is who you are. This is your name. This is like my workplace. I wear my Ankara every Friday to work when we're still going to work. When if you know me, you likely remember Nigeria. Like, you remember before you know my name. That Nigerian girl that wears like a Nigerian clothes, or the girl that wears a headscarf. So I'm a Muslim, I'm a Nigerian, like, I make my identity like my number one thing you see about me. The same thing I also try to build in my kids, to be confident in what they do. So for that's what I encourage immigrants to do with their kids. Don't come here and lose your identity. It to have like a repercussion on you in the future. You don't like that. That's one. Then two for me is to build a community. Our people say, oh, I don't want to mingle with Nigerians because Nigerians are bad. And
yeah, very important.
I understand that maybe you've had a bad experience somewhere, or somebody told you about something. Not every Nigerian. So when we came, we lived in an apartment building where we had about 5 or 6 Nigerians at the time. That was my community. That was my village. In Nigeria, they say it takes a village to raise a child. I still believe in that saying. You can't do it all alone. You and your spouse cannot do it all alone. There are times we have to get in the building. Yeah. Out. So in daycare, you write things of people that you can pick your kids. Pick up if I'm running late. I had the same thing today. So I had that community, that village that I built for myself over time. You can also, trust me for that as well. When I did my naming ceremony, I did not cook a dime, like nothing in my house was cooked. My friends went somewhere else, cooked all my food, brought it to me. When we're having a birthday party, we all come together. I mean, there are bad experiences you've had, but I think that as an immigrant, you cannot take away your community. You cannot neglect the fact that your community would be a good sort of support for you. Then 3 would be also integrate. The fact that you're Nigerian doesn't mean that everybody you talk to will be Nigerians. Integrate with Canadians, with Indians, with Chinese. Know how this is a multicultural country. You cannot be in your circle of Nigerianness or in the church, in the mosque. You're only like beginning with Nigeria. No, integrate. That way you understand what is happening in the society you've come to live in. So I think that is very important to do. And lastly would be run your race. Yewande also mentioned that. Run your race at your own pace. Do not copy. It's not that, okay, somebody is buying a house, you must buy a house. No. Understand that this is your resources. This is how much you have. Plan your life accordingly. It's not a competition. Everybody here came here for a reason. for different reasons, maybe similar reasons, but our goals and aspirations differ. So understand that this is what it is you want to do and follow through with it. Please just, so you can have some form of sanity, because even though it's good here, if you don't have these things in place, you might get frustrated. You might your life may even be worse than how it was in Nigeria. I mean, there's frustration, there's a feeling of, why am I even here? You don't even know what you're doing. So I understand that all of these things are things you should, consider, and from time to time do checks and balances. So you have a good time here as an immigrant.
Wow. Okay, Marina, let's go with you. Thank you so much, Sherifat. That was very insightful.
Very, very amazing contributions. I almost forgot that I was supposed to talk. I was just soaking everything. And Dr. Yewande, I like how if you didn't introduce yourself in the beginning, I would have said there's something about you and finance. I like how you chip that into everything. Like, it's like a common undertone in most of the things you say, and I really like that. What would I advise immigrant moms or parents who are coming here? Like, how do they cope? See, like the Sherifat and Dr. Yewande have mentioned, there's a need to have conversations with your spouses. Like, if it's a 2-parent household with children, you're going to need to sit down and now talk about some things. For me, some of the things that we're doing right now were conversations that my husband and I had before we got married, before we had kids. We had like a template. What kind of children do we want to raise? What kind of life do we want to have? So you see me, when you were, Dr. Yewande, when you were saying you drive this car and people are yabbing you, and see, I'm exactly like that. The first car that we drove when we came to this Canada, at some point, because of the yabbing, sometimes we'll go for events and park far from the place and stroll. But that car, I love that car to bits. It was old, but it was very reliable. So while people were yabbing me and saying, Marina, come on, you guys can do better than this. Go and buy a new car. Guess how much I was paying for my car notes on a monthly basis? 0. These people who were yabbing me and teasing me bought brand new cars where their monthly payment was like $750. Then guess who needs to? Can I just have $200 quickly interact? I need to. Who do they come to? It's me that was driving the Gogoro from 1994. So sometimes just knowing what your priorities are and focus on it will save you a lot of headache. Those are the conversations that you should have before you come. You cannot come here today and the neighborhood you want to live in is your friend who has been here 10 years. It's 10 years of work. It's 10 years of equity. It's 10 years of building credit. It's 10 years of a lot of things that you don't have. So to put yourself in that position, you will already be setting yourself up to fail. So have those conversations. Don't be afraid to go against the norm. Do not be afraid to go against the norm. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. So as parents, have that plan and keep your eyes on the why. What's the reason why you're really doing this? I hear a lot of people say, I'm doing this for my children. And I'm like, explain to me, what exactly does that mean? What exactly are you doing for your children? You have taken them away from their friends, from grandma, from cousins. You have brought them to this strange place where they are different in class. They're probably getting bullied. They're probably getting profiled. They're probably getting discriminated against. What exactly are you doing for them? But when these children come home, you're not available for them to talk to you. You're not available for them to share their fears. They can't talk to you about how they really feel. They can't share their confusion with you because sometimes even they don't understand what's happening. Are you really doing this for them? Is this a positive move for the child? And then because you're not making the best financial decisions, it's time for them to go to school. You fling them straight into student loans. So they come out from university, $50,000-$60,000 into debt. That's how they are starting their life. I've never paid a kobo in student loan because my parents paid for my university. And by the grace of God, that's my goal, that my kids are going to go to school. It will be my responsibility to pay and not get them into debt. They can't start their lives like that. So if you put this picture from the beginning to the end, have you really, really given your children a better life, or you just set them up to fail? Because starting life $60,000 into debt is minus. You're already an immigrant. It's like you're competing. I refuse to say disadvantage, but we already have some things that do not go smoothly as an immigrant. To now add basic on top of that, you have not really given them a good life. You just brought them from where you could have paid their school fees to a place where they'll go and borrow their school fees themselves. So you wonder why in old age, you see some of these people who were born here, put their parents in care homes. They are working to meet up. They are working to try to make the money that they have been using to pay debt their whole life. There's no connection because look at it. The government pays you every month when a child is born, the government pays them every month until they turn 18. Imagine that a parent saved up all that money. The child will not need to borrow student loans. But for us, we think about it like, childcare benefit is extra money for me as a parent. That's not what it's supposed to be. So it's to sit down and really put your priorities in place. What exactly is this better life that I want to give my children? What do I have to do today to point me in that direction? And you cannot do it alone. If, like I said, if it's a two-parent household, both of you have to be on the same page. It's when one person wants to do A and the other person wants to do B, guess who's going to suffer? The children. Eventually, the children that you brought to come and give better life, you're going to end up destroying their lives. So it's to sit down and be very intentional about the kind of kids you want to raise. Understand the components of our culture that you can do away with. That culture of breeding fear and calling it respect, you're going to destroy your children if you try to do that here in Canada. Respect and fear are very different. And what I was raised taught as respect, it's in my adulthood I found out that that was actually fear. A lot of the people that I relate with have trouble with self-esteem, self-confidence. Some of them can be traced back to some of these things that we were told as children. This is what is acceptable. This is what's not acceptable. And at the end of the day, the child comes to this environment where people are confident. You can call an adult. You can call your teacher by their first name. In Nigeria, it's like you don't want to graduate. You call your lecturer by their first names. You will never graduate. You know, I had that trouble in school calling my instructors by their first name because for me, saying sir and ma is respect. While I agree to an extent, it's like a show of respect, but that's not truly respect. True respect is this, it's earned. Nobody deserves respect because they're older. And that's what I'm teaching my children. I'm going to earn your respect. I'm going to earn your trust. So Moya, I'm going to copy you. Want to be best friend? I will earn it. From trying to be best friend, I will be available. The way best friends talk, there are no holdbacks. You can talk to my children this day. Sometimes I recognize when to relax the rules. They have a bedtime, it's 8:30. But sometimes 9 o'clock, they climb out of their bed and say, Mom, I can't sleep. I've been thinking about this. I have a question. I'm not going to, in that moment, insist, come on, go and sleep because it's past your bedtime. I find that in those conversations, I hear things I haven't heard before. Like, Mom, seriously, but how come I've never had a black teacher? That was my 8-year-old son. That was a moment for me. We had to capture that moment to say, okay, you know what? God made different people. This is how it is. On the inside, we're all the same. The conversations about race is already coming up. The conversations about identity, the conversation about where am I really from? What does my name mean? Teach me my name. What do we speak? Those questions are already coming up. So if you're not intentional about how you really want to go on this journey, you end up in trouble. And honestly, this Canada has the potential to bring out the best in your children. It also has the potential to bring out monsters in your children. If you don't teach them inside your house, they will hear it in jail. They will hear it in juvenile camps. God forbid, it will never be our portion. But I'm just saying that that's the flip side. If you're not doing it, there's no vacuum. If you're not feeling your children, the society is going to feel them. They're going to tell them things that you will not be able to remove from them. If we look around, we already see that there are some things that conflict with what we know as our values, as our culture, when it comes to conversations around sexuality, when it comes to conversations around religion. We didn't get there. Like for me, we're Christians. We teach our children as much as we want them to know. We expose them to God. We expose them to the things that we want them to learn. The conversations around sexuality, we're already talking about it. If you wait and say, I can't talk about that, they will hear it in a way that you will not be able to control. And that narrative, you must control. As the parent, that narrative is ours. We are the ones that should have those conversations. As uncomfortable as it is, you must have it, or you expose them to go and hear a version that there will be nothing you can do about it. They'll run with that version because you're not talking about it. So basically, intentionality, that's what Canada has taught me, to be intentional about everything. About your career, you must be intentional. You must be able to draw the line to say, you know what? This doesn't make sense anymore. I'm going to focus on this at this time, So be intentional about the kind of marriage that you have, because the kind of marriage you have with your spouse is going to affect the kind of relationship that you have with your children. If you're not disciplined as husband and wife, you cannot teach discipline to your children, because at some point it's going to go beyond be disciplined. They want to see you live what you're telling them. So everything is planning. Put your plans on the table. What do you really want? And make conscious effort to stay within that plan, regardless of what everybody else is doing. Keep your head on your shoulder. If everybody's head is falling off their shoulder, keep your head on your own. Focus on the plan and stick with it. That's That's just the basic advice I'll give. And if you are still not sure what to do, please go and subscribe to my channel. That's why I slave. That's why I'm recording videos, so that you will get these answers. Go and subscribe, please.
Guys, you guys should go and subscribe to Marina's channel, please. Oh, okay. Well, let's hear what you have to say.
So there's really not much I'll have to say because everyone has touched on it. Sharifa, Yewande, Marina touched on everything I wanted to talk about, but I'll just like touch on a little more. So you have to be mentally prepared about this journey. It's not about just coming. And yes, I know that the tough parts are, CRS score, ITA, or all those things are like the things you are thinking about. But in this period where you are waiting for their response, start to think about Canada. What effect is it going to have on you? You've heard from almost all of us, except Yewande, who came a little bit when she was younger. We all had this shock of, oh my God, do it yourself is on another level. Yeah. Be mentally prepared about it. Have the conversation with your husband. Husbands, have this conversation with your wife. Are you going to accommodate each other? Are you going to be willing to do house chores that you ordinarily do not do? Are you going to be willing to? There are times that, because some of the daycares have rules that 6 p.m. you have to pick your child. Any minute after 6 p.m. you're paying. Serious. I have run. I came in at 6 p.m. I will enter at that 6 p.m. I'll do like 6 p.m. I got here. I'm not paying that extra $30 per, So there's a lot to think about. You guys have to have that mental preparation. It's not a bed of roses, but you can do it. If we survived in Nigeria, we can survive anywhere. Period. But you have to prepare for it to be easier for you. Communication with the spouse is a major thing. Very important. It's caused a lot of people have separated since they moved to Canada. And it's not because they don't know this marriage thing or anyone else is better than them. No. Just communication. You may be speaking the same language, but not speaking the same language. Do you understand what I mean? You need to be at the same level. You need to be able to express yourself properly. I'm stressed. Yes, I may be a housewife, but I am stressed. And I may even be going through more stress than whoever is going to work from morning till evening, because it's a lot of dynamics, meeting people, having new friends, and staying at home and cleaning from morning to night. And it still looks like you've not done anything. So there's a lot of things to think about. You guys have to be open-minded. If you are going to carry your load from Nigeria and come all the way here, you need to open your mind to a lot of things. The way you address people, respecting other people's sexuality. There are so many things you're going to have to open your mind to. You need to be flexible. If you want to come and stay here, then you need to respect the laws and the regulations here. And that also brings me to, I'm not homophobic in any way. I'm very free. I'm a free thinker. But that didn't stop me from getting shocked when I went to my daughter's kindergarten and I saw a storybook. I just felt it shouldn't be there in the kindergarten. I was shocked. I won't lie. I held the book and I was like, I don't understand. This shouldn't be in this kindergarten. But that's what it is. And like Marina said, it's better you tell them yourself. Let them have that version in their mind before someone else teaches them that. I also remember during the pajama day where one of my daughters came back and was like, I don't understand, Mom. My male teacher wore a female nightie. And I needed to have that discussion. It was easier for me to have the discussion with them because we've already been talking about things like this. You are different from this person. You are different from this person. You need to respect their choices. That doesn't mean you should inculcate those choices. That doesn't mean that because that person does this, you must do this. You are your own person. If that is you, no problem. But do not be peer pressured. Ask for clarification from us if you are confused. You know, do not talk down on anybody. Don't be rude to anybody. Respect everybody's choices. I said he must love 90s, and you know, you explain it to them. He has the choice, and it's his right to dress anyhow he wants. But if you don't prepare your children for this, they would get confused. So you need to let them know where they are coming to. Things that are allowed in Nigeria may not be allowed here. Things that are allowed here are not allowed in Nigeria. That's confusion for them. And in as much as we as adults tend to just think, oh, we're the only one stressed. Oh my God, no house girl. I'm the one doing house girl. I'm driving. I'm doing this. We're thinking about ourselves. We need to know that it's a bigger pressure for these children too. My daughter has never told me in Nigeria that I think this teacher is being mean because I'm darker skinned. But she said it to me, yeah. What? And I was like, you're darker skinned? Tell me more. Tell me more. We may think that they are shielded from all these things, but they really are. You can't control other people's bias. You cannot control other people's bias. And it's quite unfortunate that many people that even have the bias don't even realize they have the bias. Or they don't want to accept that they have the bias, so as not to be tagged. But there are many people with biases, and they would always take it out. So prepare your children. Let them know that they are Black. Let them know they unfortunately have to work harder to be visible, whether we like it or not. You definitely need to work harder to be visible, but it will never be a waste. You know, have these discussions with them. Another thing is the support system. Sherifat talked about it. I don't play with my support system. I have a network of friends that have become like sisters, from giving birth in USA on Naira Land Trade, to coming to Canada, Express Entry Naira Land Trade, to life in Canada, GTA groups, foreign trained lawyers in Canada groups. You know, I have so many WhatsApp groups, and each of them are for different things. Some is just jokes, humor. You just want to go there, but you know you see memes that will make you laugh. Some professional discourse, you know, so many things. We rise by lifting other people up. Help somebody, mentor somebody through the licensing process. If your profession needs things like that, accreditation, help somebody. They would always be grateful, and don't even look for the gratefulness. Leave it. Just do it for yourself. What are you giving back to the community? What are you giving back? I find a lot of fulfillment in helping others. I find a lot of satisfaction in helping others. Create that for yourself. Don't live in a bubble. I learn from other people's mistakes. I don't want to make those mistakes myself. So as much as I can, I would learn from your mistake so that I don't make that mistake. I can make other mistakes, and I would share those mistakes so that the next person coming would avoid those mistakes. So I think that we've shared a lot of things here today. I've learned a lot from you amazing ladies, you know, and we need to just keep revisiting this thing. There's no rule book. There's no this is how it has to be. Just go with the flow and be intentional about it. Be close to your children. Speak with them. It will surprise you how much they know. It would surprise you how much they know. We tend to always think that they are the babies we rocked. They actually have a mind of their own. They are thinking. Even when you are watching a movie, play a scene and tell them, oh, what do you think about that scene? What was your opinion? What should have been done? What should have been done differently? What do you think? It helps you to really understand each child's personality. Another thing I'm so glad that my parents do with them is they're down. My parents are in Nigeria, my kids are here. But guess what? They are playing Scrabble. They downloaded these games that can allow, no matter where you are, you can play with them. They're playing Scrabble, they're playing chess, they're playing educational games. And it will surprise you. The day I played Scrabble with my 5-year-old, my 7-year-old, I was shocked at the words she came up with. I was like, she knows this. You know, so God is going to help us. Nobody is the perfect parent. Nobody gets it 100% right. Your style may not work for me. My style may not work for you. But that's what makes the world as beautiful as it is. The diversity in the way people are trained, in the way people have retrained themselves, in the way people choose to be. So I'm ending it with, be very flexible. If you leave Nigeria at this age to come here, that's flexibility. Then don't come here and say, oh, I'm stuck in this place, I can't move. I've moved, I'm about to move a third time. Who knows? I can continue moving. Be very flexible.
Thank you so much, Moyo. In fact, oh my goodness, I've learned a lot. I've just been writing and writing and writing. I'm going to digest all of them. Thank you so much, everyone. And for me, what stands out as a busy mom here is the fact that I don't joke with support system, just like Moyo said and some of you have said. So when I came in here, it was very, very difficult. I didn't know I would cope up until now. So many times in my head, I've thought of aborting the program that brought me here because I'm not able to cope. But I realized that something a lot of immigrants, people, moms or parents shy away from is that because they are coming from Nigeria or from any other country, they want to come here. Oh, I don't want to have anything to do with Nigerians. So how can I leave Nigeria to come and stay with another Nigerian? You know, that mentality. I don't want to go to Nigerian church. I don't want to go to a Nigerian mosque. I want to go to, you know, all those kind of mentality. And I'm like, it shouldn't be about that, right? It should be about things that you're much more comfortable with. My own church, Nigerian church here, or whatever anyone wants to call it, it helped me a lot because when I came in and I was stranded, I met people there. When I'm going out, myself and kids, at least that was how we coped for the first few months before we started, you know, getting them into daycares. You need support for that period. And some of you wouldn't come with proof of fund. We know how these things go. And you might need to start working immediately. You might not have the luxury of time for you and your husband to stay back at home and say, okay, well, I have my finance, I'm going to dig in from there. Sometimes you have to just jump onto the next job. So what do you do with the kids? And these kids, you can't just register them immediately. We know the way it is with getting them into daycare. So these are the realities that a lot of immigrants moms don't know about until when they come here and they go to the daycare and they say, oh, there's no space, you can't take your child, and they become stranded, thinking in their head that once I come in, I register my child. No. So the first place you meet people who you can trust is in your place of worship. That's what I think. So in my church, if you're a Muslim, in your mosque. So from there you start to connect. So the woman who took care of my daughter, I tell people that I returned back to work 2 weeks after I had my baby because I'm here on scholarship. So I couldn't take time off because if I take time off, my scholarship would stop. So I had to go back to school. What would I do with a 2 weeks old child? It was a woman in my church that helped me up till now. And I'm still loyal to that woman. No matter what she does to me, I would never, ever forget that. So she would, in fact, I've heard her on the phone cancel interviews. She would have a job interview. She would cancel it and say, don't worry, go to school. And she would stay with my daughter. So if I was running away, do you think, are you waiting for a white person to do it for you? Most times you wouldn't even see that. There was a day a woman came to make her hair with me because I also run a home salon here, right? So she left her children with a white man who is her neighbor. It wasn't like 1 hour. The man started calling her, are you not coming to pick the kids? I'm like, okay. But you wouldn't have this kind of experiences if you're within your community because we understand ourselves. We have the same culture. So what I just have to say is people should not run away from your own. Be within your own, integrate with others, but it will help you a lot. You see a lot of support system. And yes, like Moyo said, learn to share. I mean, I'm someone that if I enjoy something, I like that I'm in Canada with my family. I want every other person to benefit. So, which is why I'm doing anything I'm doing on social media, because I want people to see this is good if you do it the right way, right? If you do all the things that you guys have said. I hope we have this another time. I was going to talk about, I wanted us to talk about resources that are available in Canada to support, new, old and intending immigrant, maybe from daycares to the child benefit and stuff. But I think the time is fast spent, and I promised I wasn't going to exceed 90 minutes. So this is almost 97 minutes. So maybe in future, I'm going to shoot all of you a DM and ask you to be here again. So we'll have a part 2 because I know it's going to be very, very useful for immigrants, for them to know the kind of resources that are available and how they can access. A lot of people are here, in fact, 3-4 years in Canada, and they don't know the resources available in their province that they can utilize as parents or as moms. So thank you. I don't know if any of you have any final words to say. I'll leave the floor open. If not, then I'll just call it a day. Okay, Sherry Pat, go ahead.
let's have to chip this in. So about support, not support now, about being intentional about our children. So what I do has helped me a lot here is having my kids' teachers' emails. I email them at will. You're not able to give them their numbers, but their emails. Like I'm always emailing my children's kids, and they respond. That has helped me to create a bond with their teachers, even for field trips as well for their class. I go on almost every field trip. I want to see their teacher. I want to see their classmates. That has helped me to sort of integrate very well into the school system. They know that their mom knows their teacher. Like the other day, my son was telling me that, oh, I'm going to email your teacher, your mommy about this. It's like, oh no, please don't email my mommy, because he knows that if I get the email, we're going to have a talk. So because so that I have this bond with their teachers, they're able to, they know that their teacher is like somebody I'm very close with. So that has really, really helped me a lot. I email them for their coursework, how they are doing, and all of that. So I think that every parent here, every immigrant parent should have that bond with their teacher, with their kids' teacher. It will help you a lot. You have to have that there.
Okay, thank you all so much. So I'm going to be ending the broadcast now. Please, I have all of the handles of my guests on the description box. So follow them on Instagram, and some of them are also on, Marina has a YouTube channel, Marina Esiri, right? That's the name. So please follow her. She shares a lot of rich content. Okay, yeah. So I don't know if we have to take any question. I don't see any question here, so I would assume that people don't have questions.
I just want to chip in. So when my daughter's book is out, it's called The Story of the Missing Piece. Make sure you guys all buy our book.
Please let us know so that
let us know. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Definitely will.
We have to encourage. I'm buying a copy already for my kids. So
thank you.
Okay. How do the children understand the difference in their skin color? Okay, let me show this. Sorry, I'm very sorry I'm taking extra time from you ladies. So somebody is saying, how do the children understand the difference in their skin color? I am so confused about this because I'm not sure children are racist. Okay, I don't know if that's a question.
Okay, I'll let Dr. Yewande go.
I think what I understand from the question is that no, I don't believe anybody's born racist. Racism is not, it's okay to realize you're different. I'm different, you're different, nothing wrong with that. What is not okay is when opportunities or behavior is different based on the color of your skin. So definitely children are not born racist, but when they hear little subtle comments, even as little subtle messages, as little as every book they see, the princess is white and has blonde hair, or every Black person they see in shows is sort of treated as the misfit or the miscreant or the misbehaving child. Those messages are not blatantly saying, white is better than Black or whatever. It's not a billboard but it's very subtle things. And I can't remember who said it, but children are so highly intelligent. They are perceptive. They'll pick it up. So it's and it piles up. So it was Moyo that said her daughter came home and said that she thinks her teacher doesn't like her because she's Black. It's not one day that, something happened and she came home with it. It's like a combination of things, whether what she's seen on TV, what she's read in books, what children may have said in the playground, and then the teacher's behavior being the final straw. So yeah, children are not born racist, but because of the environment we're in, the little subtle things that we need to be very perceptive about so that we can intentionally correct. For us, we're very intentional about buying books with Black girls that look like my daughter and reading them to her. If there's a cartoon that comes up and there are too many white people, I change it not because I'm not trying to make her racist or anything like that. I'm really just trying to correct what society presents to her naturally on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, I would show this question. This will be the last question we'll take for this.
Before we go on to the next question, I just want to add to that. So yes, it's surprising that children could do things like that or be bullies. But guess what? Bullying is real. My daughter was bullied. It affected her for so long. I went to school all the time. They already knew me. Hey, Kishi's mom. It's true. Excuse me, what is going on? How can we keep reporting this and nothing is going on? Then when this child decides, because she tells me she's not going to fight back because I taught her not to fight back, but to report to higher authority. But guess what? You guys are not working on this. But when I tell her to fight back, you would now pick the call and call me the parent that she fought back. She's no longer the victim. You guys need to, it's good to have, a relationship with the teachers too. But the truth is that there's also little they can do because we can't control how other people train their children.
Yeah.
And the school is a leveling ground. Some children are abused at home and they're taking it out in school. Some children are seeing their parents go through very, very bitter separation and divorce, cutting themselves out, and they're taking it out in school. So it's not that it's the teacher's fault or it's anybody's fault, but everyone is living in different places, getting different trainings, and they come out to take it out. So my daughter got bullied for so long, then she overcame the bullying and started telling them things back, and they stopped. That okay, she's not someone that we can bully anymore. Then she now consciously started going around when she sees them bullying other people to go and tell them you can't bully that person. So because she's big, she's able to stand and say leave her alone. Because she said that the trend was that they were bullying Black kids. We had a neighbor who they kept on saying, you black, fat, ugly, really, really bad words to 6-7-year-olds. But I was always so proud when my daughter would come and say, I told them to back off. I told them to back off. And I'll also send a message or a call to school to let them know you guys can't keep saying we're working on it. We told them, we talked to them. We talked to them, we spoke to them, we told them we will have a timeout. It will get to a point where I need to speak to their parents. We need to have a discussion. Because if you're picking my child and you're telling my child things, I need to be able to speak to your parents. Because you are hearing these things from somewhere. So don't underestimate what the children are going through. And it's just unfortunate. Many of them, at the end of the day, and I've also seen trends of the bullied becoming bully. I have seen that. But that is just that child's understanding of, okay, I'm getting bullied, I'm reporting, you guys are not doing anything about it. But when I become a bully, now you guys want to talk about it? It's very confusing to these kids, and it's quite unfortunate. It's something we have to continue talking about.
Yeah.
And we need to have this discussion with the kids too. I tend to tell my kids, please don't do anything back. Protect yourself. Don't do anything back. But use your words too. If they call you loser, call them loser too. And go.
Exactly what I was going to say. Because I just teach my son to don't be the first, but if anybody comes on you, push them back. Simple.
Because I realized that me telling them to just leave them wasn't working.
No, yeah.
And I'm not trying to tell them to go and fight or anything. No. But if it's words, tell them that you're a Nigerian girl. If he calls you fat, say skinny. Push it back. And it's worked.
Yeah.
It's worked because the person is just pushing his reflection on you, the complex that child is going through and can't really discuss with their parents or something. They're trying to make someone else feel bad. It's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster and the cycle keeps going on, But have this discussion with the kids because it does. I have 3 children and 2 of them have had experienced bullying, but they managed it in different ways. In different ways. I got a call from the teacher once for one of my kids is quite emotional. When she gets bullied, she cries, and until she overcome. What's the English? Sorry. Until she overcame that and stood up for herself. The second one was always feisty. Always feisty. What happened was this boy kept bullying her, and one day she said, The next time you talk to me, I'm going to come to your house, I'm going to pack up all your toys and I'm going to burn it down. And the teachers called me. She said she's going to burn someone's toys. I said, did you ask why she said that? Could she just stand up and go there and say that? And I had a discussion with her. You shouldn't be saying you want to go and burn people's things. She can't even do it. But she said I was only defending myself. He was saying so many mean things, and I told the teacher many times and she didn't do anything about it. But the moment I told him that I was going to do that, she came and gave me time out. So things happen. I'm not saying the teacher is biased, but things happen with the kids. I'm sharing this so that you know that the kids are going through a lot too. It's not just about us. The kids are actually going through a lot. And we need to have this discussion with them. It's okay to be Black. Love yourself. You're a beautiful Black woman. Brown skin girls, I put it on replay for them over and over and over again. Let them know that they are beautiful.
Okay. Marina, do you want to take this question so that we'll wrap it up?
It's okay. What do you do about things that are contrary to your values? I think we touch on this briefly. It's the conversations you have inside your house. It's the conversations you have at home. I recognize that I am the one who is coming into this new place, this new society, this new way of doing things. It's not Canada that adjusts to me. It's me who adjusts to Canada. That's the flexibility I believe Moyo was and a couple of the other ladies have talked about. You are not going to be able to change the curriculum, only you. You are not going to be able to control the conversations that the teachers are going to have. There are some things that are accepted here that's different from what is accepted where we're coming from. The onus is on you, the parents, to create that balance. And in creating, one mistake I found is very common is that we assume that by shielding our children from these things, we're trying to protect them. But you're not going to be able to shield them in school. You're not going to be able to shield them at daycare. You're not going to be able to shield them in those places where you're not there. So it's in your best interest to have these open conversations with the children, conversations around sexuality. As you're teaching them about their bodies, teach them that other people look at things differently, but it is not in my place to judge another person's choices. You don't have control over what other people choose to do in their own homes with their own choices. So have those conversations, be open, deal with them. And to touch just a little about the last question, I think that this, all what we have shared here, is another reason why we'll be doing ourselves a disservice if you say, as an immigrant, as a Nigerian immigrant, I'm only going to be friends with Nigerian immigrants. We really need to start to break out and make friends with the people who are core Canadians, because some of the things we see in school is like a spin-off of the conversations that happens on dinner tables at home. It's when people talk, parents are talking, how do you respond when that new Black person joins your team? You're at the dinner table, you're referring to this, your new team member who's Black. Your child is listening. They pick it up and go to school and look for that child who's Black. Oh, that's what my father was describing. And they replay the same things that they have heard. Until we start to consciously try to make friends. When your children are in daycare, just look for that one non-Black child that your kid is comfortable with. Look for their parents. Make friends with them. Until we infiltrate these circles, we will not be able to correct this impression. Because for some of these people, it's just plain ignorance. We are the closest non-white people that some white people have dealt with. Their impressions have been set in stone. Until they meet Black people, they don't correct those impressions because they don't see a need. They just assume that what I know is the norm, but it cannot be more far from the truth. Like, I still meet people who look at me and say, oh, so how long did you wait in line before you came to Canada? I'm like, what does that mean? They say, it's immigration, not just you filling forms and waiting your turn. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Fill forms and wait your turn? Excuse me, sir, do you know how much IELTS exam is? Do you know what credential evaluation means? I paid to come here. So most times when I have those conversations, they're like, seriously, tell me about this. I'm like, but the IRCC website is accessible. Like, why can't you use your free internet to go and read it? You know, people just don't know. Ignorance is the major thing that I see. And if we don't start to break out of these circles to let our voices be heard, when you are in that room and people are talking, be visible. That's what Moyo was saying. Do twice the work. Do the research, know your onion, so that when you talk, people listen. And when you're able to get them to listen, that's when we'll be able to correct some of these impressions that we see at work, the impressions that show up in the classrooms of our children. So there's a lot of work for us to do, and it has to be conscious, it has to be intentional. So sadly, that's what it is.
Sorry, Joy, let's talk about bullying.
Okay.
I think that any immigrants' parents should not take bullying lightly at all. I've had to child who kept bugging my son, to the principal, to the teacher, to the director. This boy got suspended. Like, eventually, it was that bad. So before I asked my kids how was school today, I asked them, did anybody bother you? Did you bully anybody? That's like the first thing I asked them. So do not please take the bully at all lightly. Something that can have like adverse effect on a child. So this boy got suspended. Eventually, he wasn't of the school, even though the school is a private school. For a public school, that might not happen. They'll keep telling you, oh, we are dealing with it, we are correcting him or her. So please do not for any reason take it lightly. Report them, send emails, and do anything you can to help your child from being bullied, and also teach them strategies on how to to attack, to also like not attack, to face these bullies as well. So please, it's very, very important. Don't take it lightly at all. It's a very big thing that can happen to a child. Yeah, I just thought to chip in that.
Thank you so much. So I've taken extra 24 minutes. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. So I have to end this broadcast, everyone. And I'm looking forward to doing this again with all of these lovely women. So you guys should go on their DM, follow them and beg them that when I come, they should not say no. Okay, so thank you all so much. So I'll be ending the broadcast. And drop your comments and drop your messages or whatever you want us to talk about. So drop it on the comment sections. Thank you. Okay, so